Hello. So I'm just now going to go into should be part four, I think. Okay. So I'm now going to fast forward. Now I'm in my teen. And I've now already experienced you know, um, like teenage relationship breakups, heartbreak, and all these things. You think you know it all and you don't. Um, but now I graduate. I graduate high school. So before I go into that, here's the thing. So I again, people can sometimes trying to stop you from moving on, but God has the final say. So as I said before, that I believe my destiny wasn't swapped yet. I would say it was robbed. Okay, I think robbing is the proper term right here, not swapped, because this is now where it's going to go into the destiny swapping, and then you hear me talk about some of the things that happened. So when I was robbed of my destiny of being a great school student, you know, in those early age because of, I believe, demonic manifestations of witchcraft and spells and bewitchment. Now in my teenage year that I'm in now high school, I'm now experiencing like I feel like I'm getting ahead, you know. I'm getting ahead again and I'm finding my ways back to being a good student, like I used to hit the honor roll and things like that and all of that stuff. But yet I still feel like I could have exceeded, but I didn't make it to that level. Okay. But still, it was enough for me to be able to graduate high school. I made it. And so, the other thing I would say during this time now, so already, as I mentioned, so many different open doors now, sexual morality and all of that is in there. And so before now I go off to college, I remember, I think, either, I believe, if not my father's wife or somebody, had traveled to back home to Africa, and she requested us to send in pictures of us. She took pictures, she was like, "Oh, I need to have your picture so that I can send it back home to, the people can see how you are now." And I didn't think anything of it, so I gave her, some pictures that I've taken during one of the winter ball or homecoming. Um, but again, to be honest, though I had friends, I still felt alone. Though I had people that knew me and thought that I even was popular, I still felt alone. Like I didn't feel like I was that popular girl. Like I still didn't, it didn't make sense to me why I always had that very like lonely feeling inside, like that just felt like I didn't belong in those places. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. I don't know. I was there, but I feel like I wasn't there. So and it was show even in some of my pictures, like I would just look sad, even though if you asked about me, people would know, oh yeah, this girl, oh yeah, that girl. So, but anyways, so now it's time to graduate high school, and I applied to this college that was still in the same state, but it was like maybe like about 2 hours and a half from my home. So I decided to leave on the campus, And so so as I'm preparing for college, I'm seeing that as a way of freedom, because I feel restricted now, being at home to explore everything that I want to explore in terms of, you know, my life being young and stupid, So now I feel like, okay, if I go off, I'm gonna be able to just explore. So fast forward, I get dropped off in college, and that's where really I think the enemy really um had its way, because it's like now you're about 2 hours and a half from home, no parents there, weekends you're spending it over there, you're meeting new people, everybody's coming with different spirits, you're being introduced into different things, alcohol, you've been introduced to drugs. And even though I never touched any of that, but I definitely had touched alcohol before I was 21. So I definitely, so alcohol was my down, my one thing that I would say that was like my downfall, because it just seemed simpler to me to handle alcohol rather than what the other drugs that other people were doing. So I stuck with always like having a beer, at those parties, when they invited me and things like that. So that was also now another open door that came in, alcohol. So besides from, the sexual morality, as I said, mind already blown over there. Don't even think about it. It was just a free fall, you just, who gonna get it, you know? So it was really just like a satanic playground. Okay. I think college for me was the satanic playground, and how it really just opened up the door to those things, people, like, you have a roommate bringing in her thing from the club, from whatever place she came from. You right there sleeping, they're over there knocking boots, and you in the same room. So you being exposed to these things, and then they don't even care. This is one thing. Listen, some white folks don't got no shame about themselves. It's not even funny. There was just like no shame. Like they will get up, still no clothes on, and they're walking around like you're not there, right? And so thankfully, at some point, that roommate ended up moving out, and had moved, switched dorms and stuff with another girl that they connected more with. And then so I ended up with having a room to myself, because I never replaced the second person in that. Now I thought that was fun, because then I was like, hey, that means I got the room to myself. Whoop whoop. But that's when also more perversion just came in. I was like, well, now you have the room to yourself. Now you can do whatever you want in your room. You can have parties, you can have friends over, you can do whatever you want in your room. And that's exactly what happened. Like, so my room became the party room, my room became like the hangout room, my room became the therapy session for girls that were getting their hearts broken. They didn't know why or what to do with themselves, or they were running away from some guy and then they wanted to come in and just chill out. My room became the snack room. Listen, it became everything, everybody's room. So again, like I said, it just opened doors to just different things. And I just welcomed any spirits that came in. I had friends that were in the alphabet community. I had friends all over. I didn't judge nobody at the time, because I didn't know I was living the same lifestyle that everybody was living. I was drinking. I was, I wasn't smoking, but I was drinking. I was being sexually immoral just like them. So I'm like, Who am I to judge who they choose to be, with? Okay. So all those things just like, just piling up and all of that, just creating a really web of entanglement in my own soul, in my spirit. And then what I didn't know is was gonna cause me delay in my own studies. So that's when that spirit. Now everything was going well, right? And until it was time for me to graduate. So until it was time for me to graduate, and then coming to find out, so I send the invitations back home, like how you usually like do. I don't know if it's a couple months before or how whatever month you send the things to. And as I sent things, I started seeing now. I believe when she received that invitation, that was a point of contact, and things shifted suddenly. All of a sudden, my grades for the easiest class plunged, causing me to basically had to work extra to pass the class. It's not even like the classes that were like hard, like the easiest class, that's where I'm plunging at. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. But if I had stayed my mind on God, God would have told me, hey, there's another attempt to your studies, and spiritually drag you behind so that you don't graduate. That's happening here. You need to pray and fast. You need to do this and you need to do that. But because I wasn't connected to the spirit, I was connected to the world. I knew when the parties were happening. I knew when people were going here and were doing what. But I didn't know about the enemy tempering me and bringing in delay into my graduation. So then now comes to the end of graduation. I can't do it. I couldn't. I did not make it through. I had to stay behind. I had to stay behind and take extra classes in order to graduate because I was short on credits, because I failed in certain areas, and it did not make sense. And it was just literally at the end of my studies. But knowing what I know now, it's almost what happened during that time. That story in part 1 or 2, as I was saying, that my destiny got robbed of my, studies and intellect. Because now that I'm understanding, it happens in different stages of your life. So in that stage of my life, it was done, and then it worked, right? And it could not and it was done. But she tried to repeat it again even in my high school stage area. But I don't know how I didn't, because I think I was praying, even though I still was not fully converted. But I always used to pray to God, because I used to feel lonely a lot, so I used to talk to God all the time, like just even I didn't know what I was doing back then, but I feel like that protected me. But when I ventured off the house to college, I wasn't praying, I wasn't doing nothing. I was just full blown, just living a sinful life everywhere. And so that itself was what bound me in that, whatever they may have done, that person may have done, to repeat that spell again. And it worked because of that fact that at that time I was not communicating with God. I was not in no way, shape, or form, connected to God at all. And it worked. So I was delayed, about a year or two. So, and, because I had to complete credits, extra credits and this credit, and then it was just a whole lot. And then doing entrepreneurship, and then there was just a lot that came in to try to really stop me from graduating. And I think towards the end I just like gave up. I was just like, I don't know, you finish one thing, another thing comes up. You finish one thing, another thing came up. I was just like, yeah, y'all just now, by now y'all just tripping. That's what I was thinking. Y'all just tripping because I just finished this class and you tell me that I need another class. Since when? So that's just how it is. So the delay now was visible, in everything. And but during that period of time, that's how actually I met my first husband, my first marriage and all of that. I mean, we trauma bond. He had issues at home, and I felt like I didn't connect. He had you know he was raised by another woman too, and then I was raised so with another woman, and then he tried to bring all the stuff like, yeah, she didn't do this and she didn't do it, and I was like, yeah, I tried to connect it, da, 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 da. So it was like a trauma bond. So we trauma bonded, created soul ties, and it just you know went in a roller coaster. We went into a roller coaster. We ended up being married. Um, a couple of years later, and then had our first child, which is my first daughter. She's a blessing. And again with this, I've got to sit up a little bit for this one. So I gotta tell y'all how my engagement thing happened. So we actually already had the rings. Okay, we already had the rings, and actually those rings were bought by me, honey. It's another story for another time. Okay. Anyways, so my first marriage. So he came in. I think he came around Thanksgiving, and spent Thanksgiving with our family and all this. So that's the time we had planned, like, okay, we give the rings, do the proposal and this and that. Um, and so as we go there to, meet, and we sit down, all of us, hanging out and all of that. Now, this is the time that I thought everything was just so weird, because at the time when I got pregnant, I actually moved in with my daughter's father at the time, and so we just came to visit, and all of that. And as it's like this person, okay, this is my father's wife, right? We're meeting there, we all sitting down. This man comes in, he introduced himself, and then he's basically trying to ask for my hand in marriage, right? And as soon as these people sat down, like, she just knocked out, completely gone, like snoring even. I never seen anybody go out as fast as they did. But let me tell you, what I know now is that this is how people astral project. People go into a deep sleep. And it's very quick, because they can do that the minute you come, listen, it happens real quick. Because I was listening to James Cavalier, and then the last consecration, I followed through his last consecration this year. One of the things he said, I'm very when he's doing those night vigils or morning vigils and things like that, he's very suspicious of people that come into a place of prayer and just fall asleep, right? During that time, because he said, this is what he said, he's coming from the background of witchcraft, being a warlock, almost all his life, right? And then converted to, and then God saved him. And so what he said is that people can go out of their bodies while they're still sleeping next to you, and go consult altars and report to their altars, this is such and such is at this prayer session, such and such is at this prayer session, or this person, well, this is who I found, this is what's going on. So when I was listening to that the spirit brought to remembrance that act that happened when my ex-husband came to ask for my hand in marriage, and then this woman just went out like a light, just went out. like went out snoring and all while he's speaking and proposing to marry me. And so that just tells me, I was like, oh, so now it makes sense. It wasn't so much of the fact that, oh, she just fell asleep, because it was too quick. They were walking around. Nothing was happening. When we came in, it was not like, oh, you're just coming right back from work or something like that. No, literally, as soon as they sat down and he spoke those words, like, I am here because, blah, 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 blah. Psh, it's like she just went out her body to go tell the altar, this girl's about to marry. She ain't supposed to marry, because I had taken her, I had covenanted her to this serpentine spirits, to this altars. This ain't supposed to happen. You have to understand, like, people that are in their cult, there can be the nicest people to you, to your face. Okay? Because this person that I'm talking about, when people come across her, they always have something positive to say, unless you really know exactly what the deal is behind the scene. Because people will attack me if I ever said anything wrong about it. But this is my story, and then I'm not gonna let nobody try to dilute it, because for a long time I stayed quiet. For a long time I didn't speak. For a long time I did not make attempts of clearing my name for a lot of things that were said negatively about me. But I have to now just clear the air of everything. And so yeah. um so basically, this person basically just completely, fell asleep during the whole proposal time. They didn't witness it until the end, like till when they were done doing their dealings in the spirit. Because the thing is, like, when they suspect you don't know who they are truly in the spirit realm, they can do it boldly to your face, and you will not know. You would just think that, oh, they must have been tired. You would not know. But when your eyes wakens up, when your eyes open up to the spirit realm, and you know exactly now who you're dealing with, that's when you know that that sleep was no regular sleep. It was a sleep of astral projection. Just like when Erica mentioned something about how she would used to go and cause accidents. She'll be walking on the road, and then she would stand somewhere and just stare at some place. She'll go out her body and then go cause accidents. She would just be staring, I think, and her mom had to come in and then, like, kind of, shake her up and stuff. And then she, like, but she had already come back into her body and all these things. So people can do that. So people just think that, oh yeah, because the person's sitting next to me, they're here. No, people can literally spiritually astral project while they're still sitting next to you, while they're still sleeping next to you. Okay, that's how like, everything is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. So yeah. So long story short, that marriage didn't last. There was a lot of stuff that happened in that marriage, child. I don't even want to go into it, but I remember there's a church that we went to, and again, that spirit of perversion just followed me there. The pastor even that wedded us were trying to make moves on me, and when you are sent on an assignment and you don't even know, because you've been tainted, your soul has been tainted, and your soul is already captured somewhere, and they're giving you an assignment in the spirit realm. There, no matter what you do, you're gonna end up finding yourself in situation you wish you never were in. Okay, so while we were at that church, that man basically was like, you know coming on to me, you know knowing well that I'm a married woman, right? And it did not stop him. It did not stop him. So coming to find out that this person also had a a history of doing this to multiple women, and I wasn't the first that was like a victim of basically, harassment and doing whatever he wanted to do at that time. And so it's just very, it's very sad. It's very, very sad that these things are happening in the church. It's happening in the church, and people are getting hurt and leaving the church because of this type of things, because it's not corrected. Because if other women were affected by this in the past, why has nobody ever checked this person? Why they're still in a place of leadership? Why they're still running the church? You know, and so yeah. So, anyways, I gave birth to my um, beautiful child, and everything was going well, until I also did feel like they did something to my child, because they tried to I don't know, like initiate her in different things in the dreams, because she would explain to me certain dreams, and I know that from my own past I can understand what they where they were trying to take her. Um, but before all of that even happened, before even the divorce of my, with my ex happened, I also experienced this the spirit spouse, dreams still, like, just this disgusting, sexual dreams and things like that, used to happen often, and all of these things. And then it create, and then there was like just a lot of miscommunication between, you know, between us, and then just things just pulled apart. He went to the left, I went to the right, I went to the right, he went to, just everybody was just not communicating, understanding each other anymore. And then so we ended up separating, and I came back to Vermont, right? Cut that out. I came back. Yeah, so I came back, and so to the state that I originally grew up in. And so yeah, so started my life over again. And even then, I still didn't change my life over. I still was living a life of sin, drinking, sexual immorality. I just didn't stop. Everything was just kind of like, I thought it was going good, but it really wasn't. Oh, I was just trying to make it through, you know. Um, but actually, one of the things I'm gonna say is, so my father's wife, daughter, the youngest one, right? Before even a lot of things in my home went haywire, I remember um her visiting with my other sister, and as they left, I remember having a dream where I saw her come out of our marital bedroom, absolutely naked, like in the dream. And then I didn't understand. And again, back then I didn't know about canceling dreams. I didn't know about praying against certain things, or praying about my marriage in a way that it's effectively praying for it. And so I just thought it was a weird. I was like, why is she in my house? And my house looked exactly the same. And I saw her walk out of the bedroom that I share with my husband naked. And so that to me was very unusual. But that's really honestly after that even though our the marriage wasn't perfect, and it wasn't like all you know always peaceful, but it definitely took a different turn after that dream. There was just no communication after that, like literally no communication. It's like you're living with strangers in the home. after that. And so it was just bound to, dissolve at that point. Um, so yeah, so I'm gonna stop right there, and we'll continue on.